So if you cracked open the manual for the Lowrance Eagle 4X and felt your soul leave your body, I hear ya. I read it, took the mental trauma, and I'm gonna walk you through the 8 things you need to know in order to get on fish faster. Let's hop in. First up is estimating power. Every angler needs to know how long this thing is going to actually run. And this little dude right here, it's actually shockingly efficient. The Eagle 4 draws about 250 milliamps or 0.25 amps at 12 volts. So that's barely anything. Seriously, this thing uses less power than your phone on dim mode. So here's what it means on actual fishing trips. So what I utilize is the Nocqua Pro battery kits. They come in a variety of different amp hours. There's going to be the 20 amp hour. I own the 10 amp hour, and I just got in the mail the 4.4 amp hour. And so in the 20 amp hour, this thing's gonna run for 80 to 100 hours without a charge, right? So multi-day camping trips, no problem. River camping, perfect. 10 amp hour battery, this thing's gonna run it for 50 to 60 hours. So fish Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this thing will still have juice without a recharge. And then the 4.4 amp hour, it's gonna last you 20, 25 hours, right? Great for those local lakes, tournament days, or super light setups. And also, there's a variety of things gonna make battery life vary, right? You got screen brightness, full blast drains more power, right? Cold weather, batteries hit to cold, battery age, right? Old batteries sag and underperform. So the bottom line is the Eagle 4X barely sips power. So even a small battery goes a long way. All right, number 2 is learning your button interface down here. So the Eagle 4X is simple, but only if you understand these buttons, right? You understand the controls. And so it'll become second nature. So let me walk you through all these. Of course, down here, it's going to be universal power button. However, it does 3 things, right? It's going to turn the unit on and off. And if you hit it once, it's going to bring up your system controls, and this is going to be your brightness, your night mode, your stop sonar. And so you go down here, you can see the bright mode, which is kind of neat. Go back, take it off night mode. And the third thing the home button's going to do is if you keep tapping it, it's going to throttle the dimness. And so, however, the quick cycles for the brightness through these presets is going to be 100%, 50%, 20%, and off. Now for finer control, you can go into, of course, the system controls, go over to brightness, where you can adjust the brightness in 10% increments all the way down to 0. You can manage your battery in that way, or the bright sunlight in that way. You're good to go. This right here is going to be your pages key, and so it's going to switch between your 2D sonar. It's going to be your main fishing view right here. So anytime you're on a different screen and want to go back to this screen, hit your pages button. If you want to switch over to flasher mode, you just hit it once, takes you over to flasher mode. Great for vertical jigging, ice fishing style returns. We'll get that in just a little bit. Quick, simple, no confusion. Next, you have your multi-directional arrow pad. This is going to be your steering wheel, right? Down, left, up, move the cursor, adjust your settings, navigate your menus. You can use this. Then at the far left over here, you have your, what I call the hamburger button, your menu button. So what this is going to do is open page-specific options like range and sensitivity and fish ID and noise rejection and all that stuff once you're on the sonar page. I'll walk you through that in a little bit. Over here, you get your zoom buttons. So if you're on the sonar, want to zoom in, you can do so using those buttons. And then in the middle of your multi-directional keypad, this is going to be your enter button. So let's say you're on your power, you want to go to brightness. In order to select that, you can hit the middle and this down and left arrow, and that's how you select. That is your interface. Now, I highly recommend spending like 5 minutes and doing this on land, because this is not something you want to learn while you're drifting into a stump field. So let's hop in. Number 3. Now let's understand your sonar screen. So fish finders are only useful if you understand what you're looking at, right? And so the Eagle 4X from Lowrance actually keeps things simple, but really just gives you the essentials. So you're gonna see your depth up here. That's what it's just moving down, because this is going up and down. There's 35.4 feet. It's gonna let you know what that is. Your water temperature is right below that. You're gonna be able to see your suspended targets right there, that arch right there. It's going to show your bottom contour. It's going to let you know if that's soft mud or rock, depending on the color, how hard that return is. And of course, on the right hand side, you have your depth scale. Now, even though this is a basic unit, when dialed in, it gives surprisingly good sonar returns for this price point. Now, what I said earlier, if you want to go in here and start goofing around with the settings, you go over to the hamburger button while on the sonar screen, hit that, and it's going to give you a variety of different options here. So you're going to have your range. I like to keep this auto. However, you can go in and you can just set it. The problem is you just don't set it and forget it, because if you're going through a lot of contours on the bottom of your body of water, then you're just going to miss stuff. So I like keeping this at auto, and I believe it comes standard with auto. So once you hop in here, I would head down to sensitivity. Now sensitivity is going to control how much information position your sonar displays. Now, of course, you can have auto sensitivities, which is what we see right now. And this is really a great starting point, right? It's going to balance that clutter. It's going to reduce the noise. It's going to adapt to depth changes. It's going to keep the screen readable. Now, it's perfect for beginners or when you don't really want to overthink too many things. However, if you wanted to, you can go in here and you can manually adjust the sensitivity. And so you can turn the sensitivity up. And let's just go ahead and do that. Let's turn it all the way up and see what this looks like. It goes to 40. We got it. Let's back out. So when you turn the sensitivity up, you're going to reveal those like small bait clouds, faint fish arches, those soft bottom changes, those vegetation edges. Is really great for maximum detail. Now on the flip side, when you turn that sensitivity down, go down the menu button, sensitivity, and we're going to hit all the way down to 0. It's going to take a second. A few moments later. 0, hop out. And you guys will quickly see nothing is showing, right? So it's going to eliminate the screen clutter, but if you go too far down, it's not going to show you anything. And so what I like to do is just set that on auto. So remember, hit the settings button, head over to sensitivity, and you can select auto on and off by simply putting the enter. So it's off, on. See the bottom right hand, that little orange little earmark, that's how you know it is on. Next thing we have up is noise rejection. So if you happen to noise rejection, it's going to be 3 options: off, low, and high. So I want you to think of noise rejection as like filtering unwanted junk from your screen, right? Use it right and your sonar suddenly becomes like crisp and readable. So if you have it off, right, it's going to show everything. I mean everything. I mean, it's useful for testing. However, if we put it on low and hit enter, this is the best like everyday setting in my opinion. It cuts light interference while preserving the details. Really great for lakes and clear water and steady condition. I like it for kayak fishing. And then you have the high filter, and if you do that, this is going to be like a really heavy filter, right? So it'll remove almost all the weak returns, and you might want to use it when the water is really muddy, or it's windy, or it's choppy. There's a lot of turbulence, there's a lot of bubbles on your screen. The screen really looks like TV static. So the warning, however, the trade-off is that high can really remove those faint fish returns. So use this sparingly. Now let's talk about this guy a little bit. So this is going to be your transducer. It's a single frequency transducer, right? And it's running at 200 kilohertz. So this is kind of like classic 2D sonar. It's sharp, it's reliable, and as you can tell by the size of the transducer, it's pretty simple. Now the cone that this is transmitting is going to be a 44-degree angle cone. So that's actually a lot of water coverage compared to like narrow beams. And so you can scan wider areas. It's great for kind of shallow water. And interesting enough, if I did the math right, which is kind of semi-complicated, like at a 10-foot depth, your diameter of coverage with a 44-degree angle is going to be like 8.1 feet. At 20 feet, it's going to be like 16.2 feet diameter at the bottom. 30 feet, it's going to be 24.3 feet. And like if you're fishing 40 feet of water, you're actually going to have a diameter coverage of 32.4 feet. So more coverage, more info, more fish located with that 44-degree cone. So next up, what I got for you is if you go over to the settings, you're going to see something called Fish ID. And right now, Fish ID is off. And when the fish ID is off, this is actually going to show you the real sonar arches that you're typically accustomed to. It's going to show you those true bait clouds, and it's really best for serious anglers and anyone wanting those true readings. However, if you turn it on, let's see what that looks like. This is actually going to show you icons instead of arches. See, there you go right there. So it can be helpful for beginners, but may show like ghost fish from the debris. And then if you want to, you can head back to settings, head down, and you actually can move it over to depth. And on depth, it's actually going to show you the icon with a depth number. And it's really tiny there, but it's showing you that there's a fish at 15 feet, 13 feet coming up over this hump. And so off is most accurate, on is easiest for beginners, and depth is really to give you that simple visuals and that depth context. All right, you fish freaks, now let's end with some truth about the Lowrance Eagle 4X. If you already bought it, here's the bad news. Out of all the 4-inch models that come out of Humminbird and Garmin, this is actually, in my opinion, the weakest value. You don't get dual beam transducer. You're not gonna get chirp technology that comes in some of the other models from the competitors. It's a weaker transducer. You don't get GPS, which comes in some of the other models, right? And because you don't get GPS, you're not gonna be able to track waypoints. You're not gonna be able to track the speed that usually comes from that GPS reading. It's just basic sonar. And what I don't understand is that Lowrance came out with this unit in 2024, while their competition was already miles ahead. And they decided to create a unit that wildly falls short of its competition. So I don't get it. Now the Garmin Striker 4 and the PiranhaMAX 4, like its competitor, like some of those units has GPS, dual beam transducers, better screen resolution on one of those units. And the Garmin Striker 4 came out around 2019 and the Humminbird PiranhaMAX came out around like 2016. And here comes Lowrance in 2024 with this unit. It isn't even remotely competitive. Now the good news is if you already bought this unit, it's really simple. So if you're someone who just wants simple sonar, then you got a good unit. And I just shared with you how to max out the performance on it. Now if you haven't bought this unit and you're kind of like, hey, which one should I get? Well, I do a review and I walk through all the specs of the Garmin Striker 4, the Lowrance Eagle 4X, and the Humminbird PiranhaMAX 4. And you can check out that video right there, and I highly recommend it before you spend a single dollar. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.